All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Leslie. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. Morning,
Morning.
All right. Okay, so Sheridan Klantler here. Okay, good. How is everybody doing this morning?
Good, I think.
Good.
Thing. That's not a very confidence-inspiring reaction.
Good, but tired. It's
All right.
South
So,
now.
are there any questions or any comments or any feedback from the homework that you did last night, from the training that we've done? Nothing? What I do want, Stephen, I'll be with you now. What I do want you to do is give yourselves a round of applause, a tap on the back. You got through Wednesday, the most difficult day. So, well done to you all. All right, Stephen, you have a hand up.
Morning, Leslie. I did ask the question in the WhatsApp group also, but I'm just going to ask you again here.
Hold on. I can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Other meeting that I was at, I've had to fiddle with my sound. So, Stephen, talk now.
Can you hear me now, Leslie? Hello.
Now I'm going to have a problem with my sound.
Let's just make sure that my audio is working. Cohen, I'm seeing.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll manage the sound on the other one. Okay.
Can you hear me, Leslie?
I can hear you on the other one till I fix this one.
Okay.
All right.
All
Yeah,
right.
carry on.
So what I want to find out is just in terms of Saturday's sessions that we need to have with clients.
Yeah.
Do I understand it correctly that we need to have one that is specifically for goal setting, and then two where we use one of the change techniques for someone that's stuck with something?
Exactly that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So remember the goal setting you want to set is 3 hours. Can you guys hear the feedback?
No.
All right. Okay, I think give me 2 seconds. Let me see how I can fix this. Because this is now a problem. So I've unplugged that. So I should be having my microphone is there. And my speaker should be there as well. Stephen, just talk for me again. I want to see if it's working now.
Leslie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. All right, I'll play with it in the break. Good. All right, thanks, Stephen. Tracy, you've got a hand up.
Yes, hi, Leslie. Sorry, it isn't so much a question, but when we finish for the day, I am absolutely finished. Like I literally have to go and lie down and close my eyes, and my brain feels like it's going into overload, and I have like such an early night.
Can I see the rest of the group? How many of you are feeling like that?
No, but what's happening is my phone keeps on pinging because everybody seems to be working until like 12 o'clock, and I'm like getting up at 5:30 and like, you know.
So Tracy, mute the group. Mute the notifications on the group.
Okay. Because I'm just a bit worried about falling behind because I haven't done the PDP.
Okay, then you're going to struggle a little bit this morning, but that's fine. You can get around it. So what am my recommendation to you is just open the group, top 3 buttons on the top right-hand side. You just open that and you say mute notifications. And then it doesn't ping every time everybody adds anything to the group.
Okay, thank you.
So just so that you know, I mute all my groups. And the reason I mute my groups is the messages that are in the groups are not intended for me. If people are looking for me, they message me directly. They don't message me inside a group. And so you can spend hours distracting yourself by going through your groups. I go through my groups twice a day, in the morning and at night. The rest, don't look at them, because it's not for me. Cool. Somebody had a hand up and now took it down.
It was me.
Maria, why?
You responded to somebody in the group, though. Yesterday.
What do you mean, Voya? I responded to somebody in the
No,
group.
Tracy listened to someone's voice note and she responded.
What?
So I'm confused.
So, Tracy, yesterday, someone sent their homework, but you listened to it and then responded. So mute the group so that doesn't disturb you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've gone and done that now.
All right. And folks, do that for all your groups. Your groups don't need to interrupt you every 32 seconds of the day. Ndiso.
Yes, Leslie, I just also want to confirm with the other two individuals that we're going to coach, the 8 techniques that we need to use, should we use all of them or do we need to pick and choose from the 8?
Only one. Out of the 8, you use one per session, but you can't use the same one in both sessions. You need to prove that you are competent in 2 of the 8.
All right. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So if you're using new behavior generator in this one, don't use it in the next one. If you do use the same one twice, then you must do another one in the second one. So you can claim credit for the new behavior generator in the first one and resources triangle or something like that in the second one. Catherine.
2 things. One is a reminder, comfort zones.
Yep, thank you.
And the other one is purely to ask, how's Dion doing?
To be quite honest, I screeched in here like a racing car driver this morning, and I don't know, but I'll message him a little later and see.
Just wishing him well.
Thank you. Send him a message, send him a WhatsApp and see what happens. Thanks, Catherine. I know that yesterday afternoon when I messaged him late, he said, like 8 o'clock, I've just woken up. So he'd been asleep the whole day. Marie.
Good morning.
Morning.
About Saturday, I just want to understand a little bit about for the goal setting, the assessment. Should I spend 3 hours with one person?
So Marie, I'm going to ask you, what do
Yes.
you think the right thing to do is? Come, you know the answer. What do you think that the right thing is to do?
To my understanding, I have to spend like 1 hour with the person.
1 hour is not going to be enough to do your goal setting.
Oh.
You're going to see now, it takes about an hour and a half to do it.
All right.
So you allow 3 hours in your diary. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean to say you have to take all 3 hours. But sometimes the person comes to you and you need to do something before the goal setting. And
All
so
right.
you've now got time to do it if you need to.
Oh, I understand. Thank you.
All right, Sheridan.
Okay.
Hi, morning, Leslie. And
Morning.
then just to confirm on the Saturday thing, we will obviously fill out our template and then scan it and copy it to you, to Dion. I mean.
Okay, so the The course feedback forms I'm going to go through with you tomorrow. All right.
Okay.
All you have to do is you don't have to print it and scan it. You just complete it on the system and you attach it into an email and send.
Okay. Yes. that
To
would be-
me and to Dion, and our email addresses are on the document, which is online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. Okay.
So there need to be 4 attachments. Folks, please, 4 attachments, 1 email, 4 attachments. Number 1 is your goal setting feedback. And we're going to teach you the goal setting this morning. Change technique feedback form number 1. Change technique feedback form number 2. Course feedback form, which is also on that same landing page just further down. And all of those documents are fully editable online. So you can just download it, save it, update it and edit it, and then attach it to the email and email it to us.
Lovely. Thank you.
Those of you that are using Apple products, please understand that Dion and I are both on not Apple. Okay. So if you are using Apple products, please save it into a PDF and then email it to us. We can't read Apple products. Lucy? Lucy? Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Good morning,
morning.
Leslie and the class. Leslie, kindly repeat for me the 4 attachments on the emails.
The goal setting feedback,
Yes.
change technique feedback form for the 1, change technique feedback form for the second one, and then the course feedback form, which is also on that same page, just a little bit further down. You just need to go and download it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Pleasure, Vuyo.
Leslie, so by now I've got 3 people that I'll speak to and I've scheduled the times.
Yep.
Is it fair to ask them pre-Saturday and Friday evening, so you know what help they would require from me so that I can plan which change technique to use?
Okay. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to pick up the phone and have a conversation. What do you want to work on? So that you can make sure that you've got somebody for goal setting. Okay. You can't just wait for somebody to rock up and out of the 3, hope one is going to want goal setting. You need to be very deliberate about the one that you want for goal setting. Okay. Then talk to them about what talk to the others about what they want to work on for change. Please do not go into that session planning to do new behavior generator. Because when you go into a meeting into a session with an agenda, what are you having? You're having a meeting. You've not got a coaching session. You need to be flexible in the moment. And by the time that we are finished tomorrow, you'll have a much better understanding of all of the techniques. You need to, in the moment, decide based on the situation with that particular client, which is the right technique to use.
Perfect.
If you say, okay, this one, I'm going to do that, and this one, I'm going to do that for, and you prepare for that, and then when you start talking to them, you suddenly realize, oh, I need something else. Now you're not prepared for it. You need to be prepared for all 8.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Remember, it's not about you. It's not about your agenda. It's not about your plan for the session. It's always the client's plan for the session.
Which is where the summary that you showed us at the back of your book helps, because you can quickly go to it and know that that's what I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So the other thing is, please, folks, be very careful with saying, Okay, right. And now next time we meet, we're going to do XYZ. You're setting an expectation in the client's mind. Now, next week arrives and the client's got a burning issue they need to address with you. And now they can't address it with you because the agenda for the session has already been set. Okay. You've got to be flexible in the moment to deal with what your client's dealing with. The only time I do that is if I'm going to be setting up a trauma or a grief session with a client. Because the trauma and the grief session for me take about 2 hours. My normal coaching sessions are 50 minutes, but those are longer sessions. And so we're very deliberate about scheduling a longer time to do that particular thing. Okay. Catherine. Can't hear you.
Sorry. The last session on Saturday, which I got scheduled for 4 o'clock, and you're wanting the homework by 5, is 5 an absolute deadline, or?
So can you not schedule it earlier, Catherine? Because that's why we've given you that deadline.
Okay, I'll see.
Try and schedule it earlier, because the reason that we've given you that deadline is, remember that Dion and I have to go through all of your feedback before you write exams on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, and with all due respect, we don't want to be working at midnight on Saturday.
No, I get you.
So please try and schedule your session a bit earlier.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Are there any other questions? Remember, you can do a session tomorrow night after class. And the whole of Saturday, you've got plenty time to do 3 sessions. Plenty time. Okay. Small chunkers, beware. Your client's time is important. Just because you want to chat, you need to respect their time. Okay? You're there to bring change. You're there to do a job. You're there to do business. Even though they're not paying you, but you want to get testimonials from these guys. You want to do right by them from the get-go. Haley.
Morning, Leslie.
Morning.
Would it be helpful to send the feedback after each session?
No, please don't.
Want it all together?
One email. I'm not going through, looking through a whole ton of emails, because remember, yours is not the only group. So I don't want to go through a whole ton of emails and try and find, there's your goal setting and there's your one email for attachments.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Haley. Any other questions, folks? Sorry, I've just got a message. Oh, okay. Good morning to you. The group are desperately worried. They want to know how you are. So I'm going to tell them exactly that result and that information so that they can stop worrying and focus on the training. I hope you're feeling better soon. Cheers. Negative result for COVID. So that's a good thing. So yeah, it sounds like maybe it's just going to be a little bit of bronchitis because it's now gone into his chest and he's struggling to breathe. All right, so good. Now let me find my comfort zone thingy for you so we can start there. Nope, not there, not there, not there, not there. That's where we're going to find it. All right.
Leslie, can I
Leslie?
maybe say something? Oh, sorry, Stefan. I actually want to say something to the group while you're busy getting ready there.
Yeah.
Have you all successfully got candidates for Saturday? Not yet. So I can just maybe give a tip. I posted it on my WhatsApp status just last night. I had 5 people responding within 30 minutes. So maybe try that. I also posted it on obviously social media, but the WhatsApp status seemed to have worked very well.
In all your WhatsApp group, your neighborhood group, your family group, your friends group, your school group, any group that you're on, just post it in. Cool. Stephen.
Leslie, while you were now searching for your documents and stuff, it actually got me to think, when you're in a session with clients and they talk, they say something and you realize, okay, I need to use this. But because we're new to this, we now have to quickly go and search for, our template or the worksheet or the guidelines. How do you approach that? Do you just tell the client, okay, cool, so we're going to do something, just give me a moment so that I can get the tools we need?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Do not pretend that you know everything, because nobody. Okay, let me backstep. People who are attracted to me are attracted to me because of my humanity, because of who I authentically am. People who will be attracted to you are attracted to you because of who you authentically are. Don't try and be something you're not. If you need to look at something, I often say to a client, oh, you know what? There's this thing I wanted to tell you. Hold a second. I'm just going to Google it quickly so I can show you the picture. No problem. I've never had an issue with that. Okay. All right. So here is the slides that I want to show you guys. Okay, so we're talking about zone of comfort. So what is a zone of comfort? A zone of comfort is an area in which we tend to live where everything is predictable, everything is secure, everything is safe. Because just outside of that zone is our zone of fear. Outside of that zone is the stuff that makes us scared. And it keeps us trapped in our comfort zone. The problem with this fear zone is that this is where the excuses come. Oh, yeah, but I'm doing this for the first time. I'm scared. I'm this, I'm that. This is where people's perceptions are more important than your own. And this is, instead of treating things as learning, you start treating it as failures. Yeah, click. I'm going to come back to the fear zone in a second. The minute you move through the fear zone, you land up in what is a learning zone. Because now you're in a space where you can learn. You cannot learn inside your comfort zone. There is no learning in your comfort zone. And as you move through the learning zone, you move into a growth or a reinvention zone, where you start putting into practice what you've learned. And you start making changes. So in your learning zone, everything is empowering, it's new, you're learning skills, you're motivated. And in your growth zone, you're realizing the goals, you're achieving, you're in flow, you're reaching your dreams. The fear zone and the comfort zone are totally disempowering zones. They keep your life small and they keep you restricted. The empowering growth and learning zones are helping you to spread and to grow and to keep going on the journey. The problem is, though, that when you hang around in the growth zone and the learning zone for long enough, what happens? You start getting comfortable at this new level, you start getting comfortable. And so what happens is you enter into a new comfort zone. And the pattern starts all over again. This little fear zone, you will notice that it's bright red. You will also notice that it's a lot thinner than the others. Because although that fear zone is incredibly strong, it's one decision thick. Or as I like to say, 5 seconds of courage thick. It's one decision to say, you know what, I'm dead scared of this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not going to let this thing keep me trapped. That fear zone is like a trap. It keeps you stuck in your comfort zone. But if you can turn around and say, you know what, I'm scared of this thing. I'm dead scared of this thing, but you know what, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to try it. 5 seconds of courage. That's all it takes. 5 seconds of courage. And so the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats through your life. Every time you're trying to do something for the first time, you've got to get through that fear zone. And folks, let me tell you, that fear zone is a choice. You either let it rule you and control you and keep you stuck, or you say, okay, got it. I often get my clients to talk to their fear. Hey, fear, what are you trying to tell me? What is the message? Because remember that what is your RAS trying to do? It's trying to keep you safe. All right? So your mind, it's not your RAS, your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to stop you getting eaten by that dinosaur. So it comes to you, says, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't, please, 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 don't do that. Because if you do that, you're not going to be safe. But your subconscious has forgotten that we don't live in a world where there are dinosaurs. Doing something for the first time is scary, but do you choose? Are you going to be courageous for 5 seconds and just do it? Or you're going to stay stuck in your fear zone forever? It's one simple choice away. You guys have done a lot of stuff for the first time this week, right? Which has allowed you to be in a zone of learning. Some of you are struggling because you are sitting stuck in your fear zone. You're not having the courage to go through the fear zone and say, I'm going to learn everything I can this week. And so you're terrified of the coaching sessions on Friday, on Saturday. Change your attitude. Change your approach. You know what? What's the worst that I can do? I can make a mistake. You make a mistake. Who knows that you've made a mistake? Only you. Your client doesn't know that you've made a mistake. And so when you realize you make a mistake, you just fix it. Your client is totally unwiser. Doesn't even know. So please, guys, take the pressure off yourself. Do what you can. Be the best that you can. And I am absolutely 100% convinced you'll be amazing. Are there any questions on that, folks? For you?
Leslie, is it acceptable to also share your own experiences of being in the fear zone and going through that fear when you're coaching a client?
You must. You've got to talk from a place of authenticity. Your stories, let me put it to you this way. When you share a personal story with a client, they connect to you even more. When you can show your client that you've had an experience of where they are, what they're doing, instead of telling a client what to do, you can always couch it in a story. Okay. And say, you know, when I was coaching Paul about 3 years ago, very similar situation to yours. This was his scenario, and this is what he decided to do. Could that maybe work for you? You're not telling your client what to do, but you're opening their mind, you're giving them something different to think about. Because if the client could have solved the problem without you, they would have done it already and they wouldn't be sitting talking to you. So when you're trying to get a point across to a client, create a story around it. Makes it much more receivable for the client. It also helps them to know and understand that they're not alone. There are people who experience similar things to what they experience. Good. Any questions on that one? All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get started with the training. So what I'd like you to do is pack your notebooks away, pack your manuals away, grab all of your pieces of paper or sticky notes, get those in front of you. If you've got pens of a different color, you can grab those. If you haven't, that's also cool. Just create space on the desk that you're working on. All right. Okay, so I want to do a very, Maria, are you sitting at a table? Marie, are you sitting at a table? Okay. Marie, can you hear me?
I'm going to the table.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I want to do a very short closed eye exercise with you. So if you could just get comfortable in your chair, just put down what your pens and pencils and paper. You don't worry about your neck. This is going to be a really short one. All right. So if you can please gently just relax in your chair, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and out. And now take a deep breath in for the count of 3 and breathe out for 6. Take another deep breath in for the count of 3 and breathe out for 6. Very good. And now with your eyes still shut, I want you to scan your body, top of your head, all the way down to your toes. And what you're looking for inside of your body this morning is your center of creativity. Where's your creativity based today? When you find it, just notice it. Does it have a color today? Introduce yourself to your center of creativity. Thank you, Center of Creativity, for always being there when you need it. And thank it for helping you in this exercise that we're about to do. Very good. And now simply just say goodbye to your Center of Creativity until the next time. And gently open your eyes and rub your hands together. Okay, good. So what we're going to do now is I want you to have a look at your PDP. And I want you to look at those 5 goals that you set out in your PDP. And I'm hoping you did big, scary goals and not little tiny goals that you're going to achieve quite quickly. I'm hoping that you really took the time and effort to make these things big and scary and life-changing. All right. What I want you to do now is I want you to pick the biggest, scariest, most frightening one of them all. The one that kind of scares you the most. And just write that one on one of your pieces of paper. If you've got different color pens, you can use a different color, a particular color for this, and we do all of the rest in the normal color. If you don't, that's fine too. Okay, so once you've chosen the one that you want, I want you to take a moment and just think about all of the things that you have to do to start getting busy with that thing. And what you're going to do is you're going to write it on your piece of paper, 1 thought per piece of paper. Phone George, open bank account. Next piece of paper. Create content. Next piece of paper. Okay? Whatever it is, 1 thought per piece of paper. You're not writing an essay. You're just reminding yourself 2 or 3 words to act as a trigger. What are you going to do? What are all the things that you have to do? 1 thought per piece of paper. Everything that you have to do and get done to get that goal achieved. Make sure you're putting 1 thought per piece of paper. No lists, no checklists, no paragraphs. 2 or 3 words is all you want. And you want as many pieces of paper as you can possibly manufacture. So you want as many ideas that you can think about. What are everything that you have to do? Think about the things that you have to learn. What do you need to learn to do? Are there any skills that you need to acquire or that you would like to acquire? Who are the people that you need to contact?
Sorry, Leslie, could you just go through the last thing you said?
Who are the people that you need to contact? Who are the people that you need to phone, email, book a meeting with? Tuli, what we've done is we've taken out of the PDP, we've taken the biggest, most scariest goal, and we've got all of our little pieces of paper, and we're busy writing down out of those 5 on your PDP, which one is the most scariest. Write that down on one of the piece of paper. And then to achieve that, what are all the things that you have to do?
Thank you.
Are there any people who can mentor you through this process? People who've done what you're trying to do, that can help you through the process? Are there any people that you need to hire, enter into a contract with, employ? From a financial perspective, is there anything that you need to do? Do you need to get a loan? Do you need to open a bank account? Do you need to withdraw money? Do you need to get an investor? From a financial perspective, is there anything you need to do? Tuli, we're writing down one thought per piece of paper. No checklists, no long things, just kind of a trigger, 2 or 3 words just to act as a reminder. From a legal perspective, is there anything that you need to do? Maybe you have to register a company, or you have to get a certification, or you have to apply for a membership. So from a legal and compliance and a governance point of view, is there anything that you have to do? What are all the things that you have to research? From a marketing perspective, is there maybe something that you need to do from a marketing perspective? Or other contractors' perspective? And contractors doesn't mean building contractors, it means contracting labor brokers or contracting other people to work with you. Do you need to find a partner? Are there any arrangements that you need to make? Do you need to hire anything? Do you need to buy anything? Do you need to borrow anything? Maybe you need to make an arrangement with somebody to make the cakes so you'll do the icings. Maybe somebody can do half of what you need to do and you do the other half. So as you've got all your pieces of paper lying next to you on the desk, please will you now just have a look through them and see if you've left any out. Once you've been through all of them, then what you can do is you can start categorizing all the similar things together. You want to create about 6 to 8 groups of things. So all the things that are similar, you kind of want to put together in a group. Once you've finished sorting, then give each group a name, and you can use a different color pen or a different type of handwriting just to identify which are the names for each group. And once you've done that, you can switch your camera off so that I know that you're ready.
Sorry, Leslie, what was the last thing we've got to do once we've got our piles in order? Once you've got your piles in order, take another piece of paper and kind of give a name or a description or a category name to that group of stickies. Okay, all right, thank you. And then what I want you to do is I just want you to kind of put your main title there. And then your category names
kind of like that. And you want about 6 to 8 of them, guys. You don't want these categories too complicated. And you also don't, and then you put in that category, in this category, in that category, just lay it out nice and neatly so it's kind of structured. Okay, once you've set it all out like this, please switch your cameras off so that I know that you are done. All right, so we've just got 1 or 2 people left. Once you're done, if you can put your cameras off, please. Adrian, are you still working? Okay, Adrian, I'm going to continue. Just keep listening and then you can follow with us. All right, everybody switch your cameras on, please. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take out your cell phones and I want you to take a photograph of your sticky notes because I promise you, you'll never get them back into this order. So take a photograph of the whole thing. And then once you've done that, if you can read the actual sticky notes, what they say, that's fine. Otherwise, take a photograph of each group as well. Once you've taken your photographs and you make sure that you can read what your sticky notes say, please pack them away and grab your manuals and your notebooks and everything again. All right. Adrian, are you still working or are you catching up? Adrian, I'm afraid that you know I've got a goldfish problem.
Sorry, I forgot about the mic. I'm busy chatting away here. Now I'm just about done. I'm just going to take a photo and then we're sorted.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going. All right. So folks, what I've done now is I've taken you through the first part of what is called the Disney model. Now you will find the Disney model on page 79 of your manuals. Okay. Now the Disney model is named after Walt Disney. And the thing with Walt Disney is, if you know about his story, he was the man who created many movies in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, okay? When movies were at their peak and they were struggling to get movies out fast enough. So what he did was he broke his team up into the Dreamers. Now the Dreamers were the guys, the ideas guys, the guys who came up with the idea. And let's say the story is they want a movie about a mouse. So they want to now find out what is the movie about a mouse, what scripts can they get, how can they make this movie about a mouse? And so as the Dreamers, they wanted to be asking, what do we really want and what do we do to get it? How do we go about getting this thing done? What does the solution look like? And what is the possible impact of each of the different solutions that we maybe come up with? And what would the benefits of each solution be? And then what would happen is that the Dreamers would get busy and they would do their job. And when they were finished, they would then send it upstairs to the realists. Now, the realists had a different job. Oh, and by the way, the Dreamers and the realists didn't work at the same time of day. There was no lift that was going from the one to the other. So they didn't have any connection with each other because he didn't want to contaminate what was happening in the dreamer world with what the realists were going to do. And what the realists were going to do, they were the positive guys. And they said, okay, so what do we do to make this work? What is everything that we need to put in place to make this work? How do we apply this in the real world? It's all very well having a solution on a piece of paper, but how do we apply it in the real world? How long is it going to take for us to get this done? And more importantly, what is the best way for us to decide which is the best one? What is the best way for us to evaluate? And the thing was that they would either return the work to the Dreamers if they needed more information, or what they would do is they would then send it up to the critics if they were happy. Now the critics are the negative guys. Okay. What have we forgotten? What have we not seen? Is there any reason we should not do this thing? What is the weakness in the plan? And what are all the things that can go wrong? So they are the negative nannies. And they would have a good look at it. And if they were not happy, they would either return it to the realists or return it to the Dreamers for thinking about. But if they were happy, they'd send it out to the production house and they would start the movie. So this morning, I have helped you to be the dreamer. I don't need now to sit and watch you being the realist and the critic. You can do that for yourself. As the realist, you can go through each of your little piles and look at them and say, is there anything inside of this pile that I've duplicated? Is there anything inside of this pile that maybe should also be in another pile? So for argument's sake, something like raising money. If you need to raise money to buy furniture, you possibly also need to raise money for marketing. And therefore, it might be in the buy furniture column and in the arrange marketing column. So your job is to go home and look at your piles now after training today and look at it critically and say, have I left anything out? Critic. Have I missed anything? What's missing? Is there any reason I shouldn't be doing this project? And you can be your own realist. How do I make this work? What do I need to do to get this done? So when you have your goal-setting client coming into you over the weekend, one of two things is going to happen. Either your client has been working on this goal for a while and they're pretty clear about what needs to be done. And so they will have all the action steps that need to be done and they will be clear. But if they're not, take them through this Disney. That's why we've given you 3 hours. In case you need to do a Disney. So you might find that you're doing the Disney and then going on into the goal setting, which we're going to do after the break. All right. Or you might find you can go straight into the goal. But my experience is when you're doing goal setting, you need to do the Disney. Because people haven't unpacked it. That's why it's a frightening, scary, terrifying goal. Because they haven't got the clarity. So they're sitting in overwhelm. This thing is too big. They don't know where to start. By doing a Disney, you bring clarity. You make the steps clear. And you create an action plan, which is what we're going to do after lunch, after tea. And when you have the action plan, your brain can focus on the steps one at a time. It doesn't have to think about the whole plan. And so it becomes much more achievable. So when do we use Disney? We use Disney. It's kind of like a planning tool. If you have a wedding, if you have a party, if you have a big project, you're packing for a holiday, you're planning a holiday with your family. Kids love this activity. If you're planning a birthday party and your kid is kind of old enough to write, do it with them. Get a piece of press stick and stick these things up on the wall. If you're planning a holiday, you're planning a wedding, you're planning a 21st, stick these things up on a wall somewhere, on a cupboard door. And as they're finished, you take them off and you throw them away. Have a little celebration. Yay, me, done. So we use the Disney model to take what's in your mind and to document it so that your brain doesn't need to remember it, because once it's documented, your brain can let it go because it's documented. It helps with the creativity and innovation because you're getting down into a little bit more detail than you were before. You can do this as a group or one-on-one. I used to do this with a team. So whenever we started a new project at work, what I would do is we'd get the team together. Everybody would have their sticky notes and pieces of Prestick, and they would all write their own sticky notes out. And then we would put them all on the walls. We'd go through each category, and we'd make sure that we've got each thing at least once. Do exactly what that is. Then going through other categories and make sure that things that are in this category should be in other categories as well. It's really good fun when you're doing it as a group of people. You're managing a fete, you've got a committee together, do it as anything. And of course, it balances the dreamer and the realist and the critic inside of the mind. Good. Are there any questions on this one? Stephen.
Leslie, when we started, you know, for us to think about all these things, we've got like a small little path of thought that we think of things to write down, but you asked us a series of questions just to open up our minds a little bit more. Do you have like a list of those questions that we can ask clients, or just a resource for us to use like that?
No, not really. I mean, I just make them up as I go along.
Okay.
But you certainly, I mean, it's about everything you need to do and who do you need to contact, basically. And I just broke it down into kind of smaller, think about this, think about that. Just spend a bit of time with the technique and just write it down for yourself in advance. Good. Are there any other questions, folks? Nita?
So coming back to what Stefan said, would that be the categories then?
No, so instead of just leaving you alone to think about all the things that you need to think about, I was giving you prompts to say, think about this. Do you need to contact anybody? Do you need to buy anything? Do you need to hire anything? Obviously, when you're working with your client one-on-one, you know what the goal is that they're working with, right? And so you would tailor make your prompts to that goal. I mean, I've got 23 of you on this online, you know. I can't do that because I don't know what your goals are. Okay. But you would say, you know, who do you have to contact? Are there any mentors? What do you need to buy if it's appropriate?
Okay, because when you said categorize them, like...
Later in the process, remember later in the process?
Yeah.
You categorize them. So the first thing is you do what we call a brain dump. First thing is you get all the information out. Then you sort it into these 6 to 8 categories. And you give each category a name.
Okay, but when you say give it a name, like, are you talking about like
people to contact, things to buy?
Okay,
a description, a category name, some way to identify what that category is.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Anything else, folks? Okay. I love this, Disney. It's a way of having fun. It's a way of breaking the ice with a goal-setting client. But if your client is clear on what they have to do, you don't need to do this. They've already got that information. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to a break. I asked you on Monday to download the goal-setting template. If you've not already done so, please do so in the break. You are going to use it. You do not need to print it. If you have got it, please just replicate it in your notebook, turning your notebook this way so that you can make notes, starting high, down, 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 down. Okay, high on the right and low on the left. So if you look at this one, it's high on the right, low on the left. Okay, just replicate it in your books. It is now, call it to quarter to 11. I will see you at 11 o'clock.
How do you approach this situation?
You will then do that separately with the client going forward.
So you can then split and have like a, let's call it a mini goal of marketing within this bigger goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could have this is the overarching goal, and then each one of those green things has its own little goal, has its own goal setting structure underneath it. Okay, Haley?
Leslie, this is just from a crossing out semantics point of view, but if we're taking out office space and staff, I know we've taken the line through everything, you need us to take a line through office space and staff at this stage? Leave it.
Leave it. Okay. Okay, Catherine?
Just to say, this is actually very, very interesting because by breaking it down like this, for example, like the financial freedom number that I'm saying, it's been, and I think many people hold goals where they have this big number or whatever it happens to be or dream, but seeing it in reality, it becomes either you have to change the goal or it's like, okay, this is achievable.
Well, this is the point. I mean, let us say you want a financial freedom number in 5 years' time of 50 million rand. How far are you along that journey already?
Yeah.
And what are the steps that you need to put in place to achieve that? And are they realistic and reasonable? Oh, yeah, no, Leslie, my aunt died and she's left me 40 million rand and I will get it in the next year. Cool. But if you're relying on your fact your aunt is going to be dying shortly and that you then want to get the 40 million rand, well, you don't know that you're going to do that. So you can't build that into the puzzle. Okay, all right. So I want to just go over this, what we've done so far, and then we're going to go to lunch and then we're going to come back. All right. So far we've set the SMART goal. We've put the goal in so that it is specific in all aspects. It is measurable. There is something that you can say at that point, tick, job done. And we've created a very definite timeline. We've been very specific about our timeline. All right. There's somebody who's not on mute. Okay. All right. So then what we did was we started with the categories. Okay. And we put the categories in starting at the end with a celebration. And we worked backwards asking, what do I need to do just before the celebration? What is the last thing that I do just before the celebration? What is the last thing that I do just before that? What is the last thing that I do just before that? What is the last thing that I do just before that? What is the last thing before that? And so you go through all the things that need to be done. You want about 6 to 8 categories here, guys, because otherwise the categories are either too big. In other words, if you've got too little categories, what is inside and underneath is too big. Or if you've got too many, then the category gets too thin. So we've worked out that 6 to 8 is a good number. All right. Once you have in place the order, you want to test the order with your client. You want to make sure that the client is on the same page with you and that the order of these things is right. You don't want to get halfway through this and suddenly they say no, because then you've got to rearrange everything and get hold of your typics, or you've got to change everything and that gets a mess. All right. Then we looked at the time. For each one of these, how long will it take? 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 We then made sure that we had all of the time written in the shortest time period, which in this case is days. We added it up and we got 219 days. All right. After we got the 219 days, we looked at our target date and we said, no, that's too long. And so we looked to see what are the things that we could do together. And we decided that, in fact, in this longest period of 70 days, we could do all of the other stuff together. And so we bracketed all of that other stuff. And we drew lines through all the shorter periods. Remember, after certification, you can remove it and you can just give it to the client with the new periods in it. But for certification, we want to see the fact that you've done these adjustments. All right. And so then we worked out a new time period of 70 days. And we then went back here and we said, no, 70 days, 1st of August, plus 15%, it's too tight. And so therefore we made it the 31st of August. Then we looked at the money and we said, how much is each one of these things going to cost us? We put the money in, we added the money up, it came to 43,000 Rand. That's way too much. So what are the things that you can take out to save money initially? And we said we could do without the office space and the staff. So we cut those out and we recalculated the money at 13,000 Rand. Client was good with that. And so we were able to take the no of out because now the client, the no or out, because now the client is good to go with 13,000 Rand. Because we took out these two things, we now need to go back and look at the time. Because we had said that this whole project will take us 70 days. But now we haven't got these 70 days anymore. So we go and look for the next longest time period, and that's 42 days. So the project is now going to take 42 days. So we went back, we took out that 70 days, and we added 42 days. Now we went back to our client and we said, okay, with 42 days, we actually can make the 1st of August. And so we put the 1st of August back. Is everybody good? All right.
Yes.
It is now 12:30. We will finish this straight after lunch. So we're going to take half an hour lunch. I will see you at 1.
Turn to the original.
Leslie, are you still there?